The problem that many people run into when they think about quitting smoking is they allow themselves to focus and think about how difficult it's going to be. And you've probably heard the often quoted fact that nicotine is every bit as physically addictive as heroin. And while we can leave other people to argue about whether or not that's actually true, for right now, I want to really just focus on the fact that holding on to that idea and ideas like that about it being very physically addictive might be making it much harder and even impossible for you to actually stop. So, how many cigarettes do you smoke a day? And how long have you been doing that for? Well, for a physical addiction, such as heroin, people have to maintain a certain base level of the drug in their body in order to function. And over time, they need to increase the amount of the drug and increase the frequency in order to just simply maintain that base level. And I can tell you that one of the things in common with all of the people that I see for to stop smoking is that they tend to have smoked that number of cigarettes that they smoke, whether it's 20 a day, 30 a day, even whether it's up to 60 a day, they've smoked that number of cigarettes for a long number of years. They didn't need to increase the dose over time or increase the frequency. They tend to stick with the same pattern over a period of time. And you perhaps had those times when you just weren't allowed to smoke, weren't able to smoke, such as, I don't know, visiting your kid's school or being on a long distance flight. You weren't able to smoke and you were okay. Maybe you'd have preferred to, but you managed okay. And, that's not something that's available to somebody with a physical addiction like heroin. You have to have that drug independent of circumstances, independent of context. They have to have the drug. When someone comes off something like heroin, there are very severe physical consequences. And those withdrawal effects are predictable, they are unavoidable, and they're the same for absolutely everyone. However, with smoking, different people tend to have different experiences when they give up. You'll probably know people who've reported feeling grumpy or anxious, or people who've tended to feel hungrier and eat more. And in my experience, the effects and how people feel when they actually give up smoking tends to have a lot to do with what they expect. Because you'll also have heard of that person that gave up smoking and just walked away from it without any negative effects. They just walked away and enjoyed all the positive benefits without any of the withdrawal symptoms, without getting grumpy, without putting on weight, without doing anything like that. But this kind of thing is just not possible for a physical addiction such as heroin. No matter who you are and no matter what happens, you're going to experience those physical withdrawal symptoms. So thinking and feeling that you have a physical addiction, that it's going to be really difficult to give up because of your addiction to nicotine, just makes it much, much harder to cross that bridge in your mind to actually giving up smoking. My clients find it much easier to replace the idea that they have a physical addiction with a simple idea that they just have a smoking habit. Do you remember your first cigarette? Did you enjoy it? Well, for most people, they had to work pretty hard at learning to smoke. You had to learn how to not wet the end of the cigarette. You had to learn how to take that smoke into your lungs without coughing and looking silly. So over time, with practice and repetition, you learned how to do it just fine until eventually it just became completely automatic. And our brains are really amazing at taking complex actions and making them automatic. I mean, just think about driving. If you drive, you probably remember your first driving lesson and how you had to concentrate so hard on operating the pedals, looking around you, remembering to look in the mirrors, steering, all of these different things that you had to do that just required all of your conscious attention. But then there was that time, maybe a couple of months after you'd passed your test, where you remember pulling up outside of the house and then just suddenly realizing that you've kind of driven on autopilot for the last 15 minutes. While you've been thinking about something else, or maybe even talking on the phone, listening to music, whatever it might be, there's been a part of your mind that's basically been driving the car for you, taking care of all of those complex actions, operating the pedals, braking when needed, looking around, following the street signs, turning left, turning right, doing all of these things for you on autopilot. And smoking is just like this. Once it gets passed onto the subconscious mind, it just becomes automatic. No one needs to remind you to smoke. You remember to do it. It just happens automatically, whether that's 5 times, 10 times, 20 or 30 times a day. And many people report not even enjoying all of their cigarettes. I mean, think about how many of the cigarettes per day you really, really enjoy. Many people just find themselves kind of reaching for them automatically. And this is why willpower works so ineffectively in giving up smoking. You're trying to use your conscious mind to overcome this unconscious automatic habit that's been running for years in the background, taking care of this smoking habit for you. It's almost impossible to do and is extremely ineffective. Which is also why people typically don't experience very much success using patches and gum. Yeah, that gives you some nicotine to kind of replace the cigarettes, but we know that the nicotine will be out of your bloodstream anyway within 3 days if you stop smoking. And while that might help a little bit with perhaps some of those physical feelings, if you were to have any, it certainly doesn't help with the habit that you've been doing for so many years of smoking 10, 20, 30 times a day, however many times it is. So, in order for you to quit smoking and to do it easily and effortlessly and to leave the habit behind you for good, we need to work with that part of your mind that's actually running the smoking habit. This unconscious, automatic part of your mind that's been keeping you doing this habit over and over again for however many years you've been doing it. So, if you're ready to finally quit, put this old habit behind you, step into the reality of being a non-smoker, then simply book in a time to have a chat with me. I can show you how the Quit Smoking program can take you from where you are right now, however many cigarettes you're smoking a day, whether you're smoking cigarettes or you're vaping, whatever it is, can take you from wherever you are right now and step into the reality of being a non-smoker. So you can enjoy all the benefits of being a non-smoker, whether that's health benefits, financial benefits, just simply feeling better in yourself and feeling good about yourself. Step into those benefits not only now, not only in the weeks to come, the months that are to come, the years that are to come, but for the rest of your life, to become a non-smoker from the day that we meet for the very rest of your life. So if you're ready to do that, if you're ready to finally understand how you can put this thing behind you, then just simply book in a time for us to have a chat. I'll explain how everything works so you can get all your questions answered. And then if you decide that you want to go forward and we want to work together, we'll get to work straight away to create this new reality for you as a non-smoker. I really do look forward to guiding you on that journey, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye.